So it's the morning of day 3, and I've hiked up to Star Lake. I'm going to fish Star for most of the day, and then in the afternoon I'm going to fish Puppet. I can see that there are a bunch of fish rising. What I think I'm going to do, though, I think I'm going to start on the far right and then work my way around. Now I'm hoping to pick up fish in the same size as I did yesterday. So to that end, I may sight fish more than I prospect. At least as long as these fish are rising, I'm probably going to sight fish. I'm walking the bank. I'm making sure to check this water here in front of me, and then work my way out. A lot of these fish are hugging the bank, and so the last thing I want to do is walk up on a big fish that's only 2 feet off the bank. The fish have stopped rising, and I presented to one fish. Oh, there's a fish. Where's it going? Oh shoot, I lost it. And my fly's all tangled up. Shoot. Yeah, and it's gone. Okay. What I was going to say is that the fish have stopped rising. I've presented to one fish. That would have been number 2 if I had my fly ready. So I'm going to start doing a little prospecting. You know, it's really interesting how the one fish that I did present to, my bead head spooked it. So that's something to be aware of. You know, if I think they'll take dries, I'll put on a dry, but you know, they've all stopped rising. So up until today, the bug situation has been pretty bearable, but I don't know if it was the heat that we've had over the last couple days or what, but they're out in force today. And I put my bug netting on. I've had to put on bug spray, which I hate to do, but I'm already having an allergic reaction. The bug spray gets on my hands, which will get on the fly. I've tried to rinse it off, but who knows? Fish have a pretty good sense of smell. I usually think of bug spray as, you know, a last resort, especially when I'm fishing someplace that I don't know. You know, I want to make sure that you know, that everything that I'm doing is in my favor. So I've come over to some deeper water, and I've been able to hook 2 fish just prospecting. He looks like he's on the top fly. The last fish I didn't get in. And I'm not exactly on a flat rock here. Let's see here. Oh. Here we go. It's a chubby fish. Not bad. So I'm working my way down the bank. Fishing's been consistent by prospecting in deeper water. I'm not seeing as many cruising fish, and so far I think the biggest fish I've seen is about 12 inches. Unfortunately, I had, just as I saw that 12-inch fish, a 6-inch fish took my fly. I played the 6-inch fish, and when I was done, I couldn't find the bigger one. Crap, I just spooked the biggest fish that I've seen all day. Because I'm going after that one. There was a fish right here that I didn't see. Gonna get close enough without spooking him. Oh, I'm spooking him. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Ah. I should have stayed where I was, presented from back there, waited for him to come in. Bummer, that was a good fish. Okay, well, at least I know some big fish over here. Bigger fish. These fish are spooky. I was casting to a different fish. There was a fish that went underneath a rock, and I was casting to it, trying to coax it out of the rock. And this fish, whoops, don't want to beat you, guy. And this fish came, I guess, from under another rock. That's not a bad fish. Took the stillwater nymph. Interesting, these fish are hanging out underneath the rocks. In some cases, I can see their tails sticking out. So it's about 10:30, and both the prospecting and the sight fishing has slowed a lot. The cruising fish were, I was getting rejections maybe 50% of the time. Now I'm getting them about 90% of the time. What I'm finding is anywhere where I've got these submerged boulders in deep water, it's a good place to prospect. Not bad. Okay. There we go. Oh, don't want to get hooked on the other one. So there's a smaller pond over here as well. And there are fish here. So let's try this channel. You can see there's a channel that goes right down the middle. Well, look at the colors on this one. I'm finding that this upper pond actually has bigger fish. I've hooked into what probably went 12 inches. I saw another fish that probably went 14 inches. And there's a second pond. I had the opportunity to catch larger fish in that first pond, and I flubbed the hook set both times. I'm seeing smaller fish in this upper pond. It almost seems like it's not worth it going around this pond. I'm seeing so many small fish, and when I prospect, all I'm getting are multiple small fish. But this is the kind of place where there could just be one huge fish that's just sort of hanging out. I've got to do a little due diligence and at least look for a fish. So I've been fishing a case caddis, and it's been doing really well. Oh, there's a follow. There we go. Come on, around the rock. Thank you. These are fat fish. These little submerged rocks have been pretty good so far. Ah! Like I said, they've been pretty good. I can see a bunch of them following. Yeah, there's a school of fish right there. Well, there we go. Ah! Right back in my face. Now that looks like a spawning red. So it's 1:15 and I've stopped to eat lunch. I found what looks like a spring, a bunch of springs on this side of the lake. And it also looks as if some of the fish are trying to use those springs for spawning. Not all, but there was one obvious case where there was this, large, probably 14, 15-inch female and a bunch of other fish swimming around her. So presume those are males. So yeah, that's unfortunate because it means that I'm going to have to essentially bypass this this side of the lake. Probably be my last fish. Hey. That's a nice male. I think that's where I caught that fish yesterday, so I'll give that one shot before I head up over the hill and back to Puppet. So this is the case caddis. You can see how torn up it is. And this is the hare's ear. Similarly torn up. Yeah, the wind's coming over my right shoulder. Ah, pretty sure that was a strike. Wow, what an interesting day. I really don't know what to say about it. you know, I was catching fish all different ways. The submerged boulder pattern worked well, but then later in the day, you know, sight fishing kind of turned on, and it was really interesting. As long as, you know, I got close enough where I didn't spook them, which actually meant casting to them closer than I was earlier in the day. Most of the times I got a strike, if not an outright hookup. Those ponds were interesting. The last pond, nothing but small fish. The medium pond, or the middle pond, I could have sworn that two of the fish that I was fishing to were in the 12 to 14 inch range. But they were the only fish of that caliber that I saw in the entire, I saw in the entire pond. Okay, now I'm on a downhill. So when I returned to the main lake, I was surprised to see those springs, and it looked to me, and I'm no ichthyologist, but it looked to me as if they were starting to spawn, maybe pre-spawn, I don't know. There were some fish that were just cruising the shallows, and I tried to target those. There were some fish that were chasing each other on the over the spring, which I'm guessing they're using as a red. Now those fish, they really, most of them didn't seem like they were large enough to actually spawn. So I don't know, maybe that's normal pre-spawn behavior for smaller fish. I don't know. The six biggest fish that I'd seen all day were, those that were over that one spot that they were obviously getting ready to spawn, because the female was just sort of sitting there. All those males, were swimming around her. So that far side of the lake, it became a situation where you kind of had to assess, okay, well, what's the fish doing? Is that a red? No, probably not. Okay, go ahead and fish to it. It is later than I had planned, but I'm still gonna plan to fish puppet. I'm gonna go around to the far side of the lake, fish that cove, fish that small cove, fish the point, check out the outlet if the weather holds, and then tomorrow morning I'll do the same thing, and then I'll go to puppet, and maybe I'll go to Lorraine as well. There's a little beach. I think I'm gonna take this opportunity to wash up a little bit. It's clouds are coming out, but it's hot, so this will be a good time to do it. So I found the shoreline is littered with these case caddis, and if you squeeze them ever so gently towards the tail, they'll start to crawl out, and you can see it's a cream colored body, which ironically is the pattern that I was fishing up at Star. So what I have on now, I had an October caddis pattern that I tied up in a size 12, and two were tied in the orange color, and the last one was tied in cream, and that's the one that I've got on. So got the right fly. Let's see if there's any action. There's a big bug on the water, probably a caddis, and it's sitting there, I'm guessing, trying to take off, and there don't seem to be any fish here. So I'm gonna head down the bank, or maybe it's laying eggs. Could be laying eggs. Well, I just saw a fish rise. Unfortunately, it was way out in the middle of the lake. In a large lake like this, it's important to find the fish before you really, stick yourself in any one place. There could be large sections of the lake that are just void of fish. So what I'm doing is I'm walking the bank, sight fishing as I always do. Likely areas, I'll stop. I'll throw like 3 or 4 prospecting casts, and then I'll just keep moving down the bank until I can until I find fish. So I've made it to the second cove, and I'm right basically at that point. It's looking like I'm gonna be wearing waders tomorrow if I see fish. I have yet to see a single fish, not even a small fish. So it's interesting. Tonight the wind is at my back. Yesterday it would have been a headwind. Well, I'm approaching the point. I haven't seen any fish. There's a lot of good water, so hopefully in the morning, maybe there's some active cruising fish in there. Maybe with the wind at my back today, maybe the other side of this point will have better fishing. There's a small pond just behind Puppet, so figured I'd check that out, see if it has any fish. Just as I approached, a cloud covered the sun, as if to say, "You will not discover this pond's secrets today." I made 3 casts and didn't see anything. It might be worth coming back and checking it out when there's a little bit more light. I've come to the cove on the far side and nothing, no fish. There are bugs floating on the water. That's the outlet there, so maybe there's some action near the outlet. There's Puppet Lake. I'll fish this more thoroughly tomorrow. I'm gonna go down and just check it out real quick. Okay, a little chop on the water. I'm not seeing anything. I'm climbing the bluff next to Paris, and what do I see? Another pond. So I'm just taking in the sights right now. Walking from one bluff to another, seeing what there is to see. That must be Alsace Lake. These lakes are so easily hidden. I believe that's Mary Lake, and that's Elba. And Miriam would be up there. So I guess to give some perspective, pass is right there, and the first night I stayed over there and I hiked along there, came down, hiked along the water over to Bell Lake, and then up the bluff and over. Elba really is a beautiful lake. Look at that. This is the first pond down from Puppet Lake, and it's close enough to the lake and it's big enough that I think it probably can hold fish. My fly got stuck right at the edge of that drop off, and I don't want to lose that fly, so it looks like I'm wet waiting. Probably seems like a lot of trouble for 2 flies, but it was very educational. There's a boatload of tadpoles in there. So this little pond definitely has what it takes to support fish. Maybe all those tadpoles are an indication that there aren't any fish in there. I mean, I can't imagine with all those tadpoles they'd be interested in anything that I have to offer. I also can't imagine that there would be that many tadpoles freely swimming around and no fish activity. It's about 6:20. I'm gonna follow the bluff all the way back to my side of the lake. It's a big lake. I don't know, probably a 30-minute walk. As I was walking back, I noticed this flat, and you know, it might be a decent place for fish to hang out. As the wind pushes the food in this direction, because of the shallow, oh shoot. Didn't I just go through this? As the wind pushes the food in this direction, the shallow water will condense the food as it floats by. After all that waiting, I lost the flies anyway. So that's fishing for you. Well, that's day 3 in the books. I don't think I could have asked for a better day. Fishing was solid at Star. Maybe not so much at Puppet and Paris, but you know, I really think they're going to fish better when the wind's down. Hopefully tomorrow morning I can get into some fish at Puppet, and if not, then I'll quickly make my way over to Paris. I got to do some exploring. The views from on top of the canyon here are just amazing. Thanks for watching. See you in the morning.